Is what Islam teaches compatible with Western values? Talk to me about apostasy.
We cannot stop until liberation. We cannot stop until Palestine is free.
So this is Saad Caribbean Community Centre, which has been left angry and extremely saddened by the council's plans to take away this centre in order to replace it with Liverpool's first Muslim faith designated school. Now, apparently also there hasn't been much consultation. There's been a lack of consultation from the council and the owners of this building. Well, it does an absolute awful lot for the Caribbean African community around here in L8, and it's left people very, very angry, especially towards the council. But it does make you think, does the council know what they're doing? Surely they must have knew it would drive a wedge between a close-knit community in L8. Now, I've come to the corner of Devon Street here because so many people have been in touch and been angered by this billboard here. Now it says, "Trust in Allah, give zakat." Now, there's maybe a couple of reasons why people think that it would trigger me. After my last video, I walked past a mosque and I was talking about mass immigration. But by the way, that's absolutely nothing to do with a religion. I'm talking about what I said, mass immigration. That's got nothing to do with Islam, Muslims in particular, at all. You know, mass immigration, I believe, is problematic for different reasons, really. Strain on the NHS, strain on housing. And that's showing that, you know, we have a strain on the NHS, we have a strain on housing options. That's just a fact, and bringing more people into the country is certainly not going to help that. Now, give zakat is one of the 5 pillars of Islam, translating to giving to charity. It is considered in Islam a religious obligation, which of course it holds even greater significance during Ramadan, which of course started on Friday night. Now, I won't stand here and talk about this all night. We'll move on and let's take a walk down Islington and talk about why people may be triggered by that, why people think, you know, that Islam is taking over Liverpool or the UK in particular. And let's talk about the last video also. Now, that last video, again, had nothing to do with religion. Okay, I walked past a mosque, but that's just because I started at the top of West Derby Road, and that's where the mosque is. There was no strategy there. There was nothing. There's nothing against. I've got absolutely nothing against Islam or Muslims. Someone's been naughty. Listen, all I'm against is mass immigration. People, again, the inane comments, the slanderous comments. I'm not against anyone in particular. I'm against mass immigration because of the strain that it brings and the changes and the loss of identity almost, which is, listen, that's heartbreaking to see. I'm all for immigration, totally all for it. Mass immigration, that is a different story. Do the media make things 100 times worse? Yeah, of course they do. Of course they do, but also, does our government make things 100 times worse? Yeah, 100% it does. You know, people are careful what they say now, and it shouldn't be like that. Okay, you know, we don't want to talk bad about innocent people, or we don't want to talk bad about you know, certain religions, of course, but people are entitled to what they want to say. And you know, we're talking about Labour now having a first Muslim school here in Liverpool. All these billboards that are flying up. You know, I can understand people's frustration, but Labour has a lot to answer for. Labour is pandering for votes, simple as that. They're spending so much time and effort on tackling any sort of hate speech, yet they're not willing to tackle the underlying issues of why there's a lack of social cohesion, why there's a lack of social trust, why there's a lack of basically culture, and basically trying to criminalise speech that they don't like, and that's fundamentally wrong. So they're trying to find a way to establish a common ground and say, look, this is Britain, these are the rules that we follow. Hey man.
Thank you.
Is what Islam teaches compatible with Western values?
100%. So, we all need that integration and loyalty.
Yeah.
He's our Khalifa.
Yeah.
He teaches us that, yeah, we have to integrate to society.
Yeah. You have to do that. That's so important.
Of course.
Integration.
But what does integration mean? If it means I have to go to the pub with you and have a pint,
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Yeah.
That goes against my religious teachings. But if it means, what's your name, sorry?
John.
John, nice to meet you.
Right,
My name's Saad.
Right,
If it means I can say to you, yeah, I've got a friend, his name's John, makes YouTube videos, and we can go to the park and play football or whatever.
Yeah. There's other ways of integrating rather than just pub. Okay, talk to me about apostasy.
So when you say apostasy,
Yeah.
I'm assuming you mean that there's this unfortunately incorrect belief amongst a lot of Muslims that if you leave the faith, you should be killed.
Yeah.
Now there's verses in the Quran that, for example, if you believe, then disbelieve, then believe again and disbelieve. If we're saying that there's a verse in the Quran that talks about that, if we're saying that if you disbelieve, you're meant to be killed, well, how did you get a point in your life where you believed, disbelieved, and then believed again?
Yeah. Yeah, right.
So
Okay, yeah.
this whole thing about apostasy and you should kill them,
Yeah.
it's completely incorrect.
Homosexuality, where do you stand with homosexuality within Islam?
Sure. So again, it depends. So when we talk about homosexuality, if someone has, if someone is a homosexual, that's not a sin.
Right.
You've not done anything wrong.
Right.
If you're saying, I'm having these thoughts or whatever, we do believe in jihad.
Yeah.
But when we say jihad, it's jihad of yourself. Yeah. There's a greater jihad,
Right.
and that's to reform yourself.
Yeah.
So I'm a Muslim.
Yeah.
I have to constantly think about how do I be a better friend, how do I be a better husband, how do I be a better son,
Yeah.
how do I be a better Muslim.
Yeah.
That's the true jihad, to reform yourself. This whole thing about waging wars and things, again, in the early days of Islam, defensive wars were fought
Yeah.
because the Muslims were being persecuted. But nowadays, I don't see anybody gunning for me or coming at me or anything.
It's a lot more acceptable now, do you think? I'll tell you why I think people don't agree with Islam is because since 1999, 95% of terrorist attacks have been by Islamists.
Okay.
So can you see why people would be against Islam?
So I would probably question the statistic just because when we look in the media, Muslim automatically comes with Muslim terrorist. Christian or white guy or whatever, oh, he's got mental health problems.
No, there's still terrorism within a Christian.
That's fine, but
there still is,
just something that I would want to point out.
Yeah.
But regardless, so for example, in the media quite recently, they've been talking about all these grooming gangs and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And they say, oh, it's all Pakistani men. But actually looking into the data, they found out more than 95% of them were not Pakistani men.
So do you think there's a media bias also? Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
If a Muslim, so in the Quran it teaches us, if you are to save a life, it's as if you've saved the whole of mankind.
Yeah, I've seen that, yeah.
If you've killed a man incorrectly, it's as if you killed the whole of mankind.
Yeah.
So obviously we cherish life,
Yeah.
and not just men, women, children, everything. Even in the time of war, there were so many rules that the Muslims don't kill old people, don't cut down a tree, don't hurt the women and the children, don't destroy places of worship. There's so many constraints placed amongst them.
Going back to the media as well, this is why we're here with the stand, right? I'm a Muslim, ask me anything, because we're on the ground, we try and be engaging in positive activities within the community, tree planting, homeless feeding.
And can anybody get involved in that?
Anybody can get involved.
You don't just have to be a Muslim
we
to be involved.
come around Liverpool city centre, which we cook food, a few of us use together.
We go to the YMCA and stuff, trying to partner with the other people.
Unfortunately, with the media, it's very difficult to have a massive influence in the narrative, but on the ground is actually when you can make a difference. So talking to people like you,
of course,
having a stall like this where I'm a Muslim, ask me anything, right? I think,
and this is also why social media is important as well, though, because we don't get this in newspapers, we don't get an honest conversation.
How many times have you heard, oh, Muslim goes and does homeless feeding? I'm not saying I expect a medal or
no, I've been out with them. I've been out with Muslims feeding the homeless, so I know. And I've actually.
But how many times has the Liverpool Echo covered that story?
No, they haven't.
And we're a small community trying to make a big difference. And fingers crossed.
Thanks very much for your time.
We cannot stop until liberation. We cannot stop until Palestine is free. Free, free, Palestine! Free, free, Palestine!
We cannot stop until Palestine is free. Sounds like a threat.